Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our today's webinar on hydrogen technology. My name is Müslüm Yakisan. I am the president of the Alstom DACH region and a member of the Alstom Global Leadership Team, as well as the managing director of the Alstom business in Germany. We stream this webinar live today from the Alstom Coradia iLint hydrogen fuel cell train here in Salzgitter. The world's first train with this technology, right here where it is manufactured and produced. Now, let us have a quick look on it. Due to the pandemics, we could not have all the participants in the train today as we had originally planned. But this does not limit us at all in speaking about the experiences with this train and Alstom ambitions. Just for your information, before we started this event, everybody in the train as well as the crew behind the camera has been tested negative so that we take precaution of all the sanitary measures. This is going to be a 1-hour session in English, and we start with inputs from very interesting speakers. And following the individual speakers, we'll have the chance to ask questions. We'll have a questions and answers session, and you will be able to raise your questions already now as we speak. Now, before we start, let me quickly introduce the speakers of this webinar. They are Henri Poupart-Lafarge, the CEO of Alstom, Ms. Carmen Schwabl, the CEO of Lower Saxony Transport Authority, LNVG, Mark Topal, the Chief Technology Officer of Austrian Federal Railways ÖBB, Gian Luca Erbacci, my colleague and peer, the President of the Europe region of Alstom, and Marco Alvera, the CEO of SNAM, one of the world's leading energy infrastructure operators. As our event is one of the Alstom initiatives of the European Year of Rail, we would not kick off this session without a hello from Brussels.
Ladies and gentlemen, I trust you are all comfortably seated aboard the iLint hydrogen train. The train you are on recently received a European Railway Award as the world's first passenger train for mainline operation powered by a hydrogen fuel cell. Congratulations to Alstom and Lower Saxony Public Transport Authority for their cooperation on this project. In our Sustainable and Smart Mobility Strategy, launched at the end of last year, we set out how we will target a 90% reduction in transport emissions. Of course, to get there, every mode of transport must play its part, but I'm not wrong to say that rail is the superstar of the transition to a more sustainable transport system. It is largely electrified, highly efficient, so one of our cleanest options we have right now. In rail, direct electrification is indeed the dominant approach. Nonetheless, around 20% of engines still run on diesel, and the sector needs innovative solutions to benefit from alternative fuels. So iLint is precisely the kind of project that shows innovation in action. Hydrogen fuel cell trains can and must help decarbonize those parts of the network that are difficult to electrify. A study jointly commissioned by the Shift to Rail and Fuel Cells Hydrogen joint undertakings in 2019 found significant market potential for fuel cell and hydrogen technologies in the rail environment. I would like to see their successes, Europe's rail and clean hydrogen, building on this work while focusing on deployment pathways. This technology has real potential as a flexible, zero-emission and potentially a cost-competitive replacement for diesel. But from potential to reality, there is work to be done. We have different EU instruments to promote hydrogen in the rail sector. The upcoming revision of Directive on Alternative Fuels Infrastructure, together with a revision of the TEN-T regulation and other policy instruments, will constitute an incentive to trigger much-needed investment. It will also support the integration of hydrogen within the EU energy system. During this European Year of Rail and beyond, and as we step up efforts to attain the Green Deal objectives, I look forward to working with the rail sector to make hydrogen and fuel cells credible and mature alternatives to diesel. I wish you an inspiring meeting and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Henri in Paris. You heard Adina Vaillant saying, rail is the superstar towards the more sustainable transport system. Would you please give us some insights on the Alstom view of the potential of hydrogen for decarbonizing the rail sector and its contribution to reaching climate goals? And of course, how about the market potential in Europe for hydrogen on rail? Please, Henri.
Thank you, Müslüm. Good morning, everybody. And I'm sorry not to be in the train today. This would have been with, of course, great pleasure, but unfortunately, the sanitary conditions have not allowed me to come. So yes, indeed, and thank you for the introduction of Commissioner Vaillant. I think this is a very nice summary of our vision and ambition on this new technology. As we all know, rail is by far the most sustainable mode of transportation. And we know that rail has to become, and this has been outlined by the European Commission, rail has to become the backbone of the future mobility systems, a smarter and a greener mobility systems. As we know, for example, rail is emitting 10 times less CO2 than plane. Having said that, we all know as well that part of our network is not yet electrified, and that the cost of electrification can range from 1 to 3 million euros per kilometer, and therefore we had at Alstom to find a solution to make sure that there is no more any diesel trains on the network. So we've worked on this hydrogen solution. We definitively think that hydrogen will play a very strong role going forward in the transportation systems and probably more generally. But as far as transportation systems is concerned, we really believe that rail and trains in general is definitively one of the best choice for the hydrogen expansion. And that's why we have decided to launch, and I will of course give the floor to LNVG just after, but we launch with 4 lenders in Germany and LNVG in particular, this hydrogen technology. The market is definitively extremely important for us. We believe that by 2035, more than 5,000 diesel passenger trains will have to be replaced. And actually, at the end of the day, 25% of the entire fleet is a diesel fleet today in Europe and have to be replaced either by 2035, by 2040, or at least 2050, to make sure that there is absolutely zero diesel regional trains remaining on the network. We are at Alstom, as you know, we are the leader in this technology. We have been the first one to introduce some prototypes, and will be the first one to introduce a real commercial operations here in Germany. But we are proud to see that Germany has led the way, And now we have a number of contracts throughout Europe. So starting again with Lower Saxony, 14 trains. We have 27 trains for Frankfurt. Then we had 14 trains in Italy, recently 12 trains in France. And we have a number of contacts throughout Europe. And the train is now, the iLint is now homologated in Germany and in Austria. So definitively, we think that hydrogen will be the key technology to decarbonize fully rail transportation. And I think that the pioneering spirit of Alstom has been quite key in the success of this train. We really want that we, as a leader of the rail mobility in the future, will really pave the way for innovation. We need to bring to the market the latest innovation, in particular, of course, in terms of environmental performance of our train. Just want to, because you are here and we are here with you virtually in Salzgitter, I want just to outline and the role of Salzgitter in this process. The idea has emerged here in Salzgitter, has emerged here in our Saxony. The idea of the hydrogen train, the project has been fully led, fully managed, driven from from Salzgitter. I think Salzgitter is playing an absolutely central role to this iLint. So on your behalf, and because I'm here in Salzgitter, I really want to congratulate and thank all the people who were involved in this project. They have really marked the history, and I think hydrogen will be a key success European-wide, and everybody will always remember that this has started here in Salzgitter, and this has started with you, LNVG, and we are extremely happy and honored to be your partner on this challenge. So thank you very much for being here, and now I think I'll hand over the floor to you, Müslüm, if you want to take back the control.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Henri, and we are looking forward to welcoming you here in Salzgitter very soon. Hopefully, we knock on wood. As you said, we have two speakers coming next who have the direct and closest experience to share with this train where I am today, right now, as it was in regular passenger services. Now, Miss Carmen Schwabl, your company, the Lower Saxony Transport Authority, LNVG, did order 14 of the Coradia eLint trains. We have met here in Salzgitter just a couple of weeks ago, where we presented the first already produced serial trains of this order. The one right next on the opposite side of this platform is your product, your train. What made LNVG pioneering with hydrogen? And what are your and the passengers' first-hand experiences with this technology?
Dear ladies and gentlemen, and dear guests, thank you very much for having me, Mr. Tizan. My name is Carmen Schwabl. I'm the spokeswoman and managing director of LNVG, Lower Saxony Transport Authority. It is a company, a state-owned company for railway. We make conceptions. We plan the passengers' railway services in vast parts of Lower Saxony. In this context, we lease 387 vehicles, trains to the network operators. 126 cars are diesel run. In the course of the traffic association and energy turnaround, we thought about what the best friendly climate carrier can be even more environmentally friendly. And in this context, we have laid the focus on the 126 diesel. With the industry, we have led many discussions what could be an alternative for the diesel train. At the end of the day, together with the industry, we have launched a pilot project, and we have developed it and have run a trial operation of this fuel cell train in Bremerförde, and we tried it out. And that was in the regular traffic scheme. We have made it happen that in the first network, this hydrogen cell technology run and is tried in passenger service. With this, we've had a world premiere and we have sent many delegations to our places. They visited us. It was specially honored by the LNVG project and Alstom we received by winning the European Rail Award. This for all colleagues and was a certain and really high appreciation. On the next slide you see a photograph of the tank and on the side you see one of the, that's the fueling station, and you see one of the regularly operating trains that will start their operation next year. What were the reasons in Lower Saxony in order to use hydrogen? We are on the North Sea side. There are the wind parks that produce electricity, and by electrolysis they generate hydrogen. Furthermore, in Lower Saxony you have many existing caverns that are suitable to store hydrogen. For the interim time and for the initial times, we have many chemical and heavy industries which generate hydrogen as a waste product and which we can simply use. What is important to us is that we have a holistic system to create with the procurement of the trains, maintenance over 30 years lifetime, which is done by Alstom, but also to ensure energy supply by a consortium of Alstom and Lindau. Here in the next step, you see the route on which we operate the trial operation. That was from Cuxhaven to Bremerhaven via Bremerförde down to Buxtehude. Infrastructure built between Cuxhaven and Bremerhaven is with DG Network, the federal, and between Bremerhaven and Buxtehude it belongs to the traffic operators LBWese. Traffic operators LBWese, also during the trial operation, have executed this passenger service. This is a single-track branch line, single tracks, and it has a line length of 123 kilometers. Trial operations was done during 18 months, and we started with an information event for the population, for the fire brigades, and also for other security forces, because this new technology poses questions to the population. During the trial operations of a total duration of 18 months, no train failed. We have a high availability of approximately 95%. No train has broken down on the track, and we have an excellent running performance. Kilometers traveled were up to 500 kilometers per day. Approximately 200,000 kilometers were run by both trains together. Passengers and also drivers were very enthusiastic about these trains. They are very silent. They are half as loud as comparable diesel multiple units. They are also running very smoothly, which is actually inspiring the passengers. So they and the drivers, when they are standing in the driver's cabin, they have much less noises, and the trains are very operator friendly. From 2022, 14 trains will be running on the network in regular operation on a long-term basis. So what are the findings and what are the conclusions we may draw from trial operation? We will no longer buy any diesel units. We are searching for further deployment possibilities in our networks for the fuel cell traction trains that use this hydrogen fuel cell technology is ideal for closed circuits with high running capacities. Those trains on a non-electrified, they will economically complement the electric, and they will on the long run be more economic than diesel trains. And we take it that the CO2 emission in the first phase will be reduced by 40%, and as soon as we have fixed fueling stations and the electrolysis plant is operable, we will have a saving of up to 95%. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ms. Schwabl. Thank you for these insights, explaining the rationale why you have switched to the Coradia eLint hydrogen train. And as we all know, climate protection is of the highest priority for everyone in the industry. The Austrian Federal Railway ÖBB strives to be Austria's largest climate protection company. Therefore, it was very self-explanatory that ÖBB wanted to test our Coradia eLint in regular passenger service. The trial run took place over 10 weeks back in 2020. Mark Topal in Vienna, what did your passengers say? Could the iLint climb the beautiful mountains of Austria? Please.
Mr. Yakisan, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, thank you for having me here. And on behalf of Austrian Federal Railways, it's a great pleasure to be part of this initiative, to be part of this new technology. And my name is Mark Topal, as I have been introduced already. I'm CTO of ÖBB Group, and I have the pleasure to show you a short video to give you some impressions about our project, our pilot project, and our experiences, and I will later on focus on the details. So referring to your question, so what was the experiences we made? So let me explain first briefly the framework. So in Austria, we have within the ÖBB network, at the moment, 75% of our network already being electrified. And 90% of our transport volume is being operated on this 75% of the network. And we are in the lucky position that we operate our own hydro power plants. This means that our traction power is coming from 100% renewable energy. So CO2 emissions in our rail mobility are less than 200,000 tons per year. This makes us, as you introduced us somehow, as being some of the climate protection champions in Austria. Still, we need to do better. And we have a strategy here. Until the year 2030, we want to have electrified another 15% of our network, coming to 85% and close to 95% of our transport volume. But still, we need some technology to close the gap to come to 100%. And it is not economically feasible to electrify all of the network. So this is why we are looking for alternative propulsion systems. And hydrogen plays an important role here, as hydrogen has its specific areas of operation where maybe no other technology at the moment can compete. So this is why we are very happy to have the chance to evaluate the train, even to get it homologated in Austria from Alstom. So the Coradia iLint has been operating in Austria for close to 3 months last year. We are sad that the train had to leave, but it was a pilot project, it was a test project. So testing always means that there is a start and the end, but let's hope for the best in the future. So what did we experience so far? Together with our partners, Alstom and the great project team supporting us in this, with as well coming from some additional support from Shift to Rail, from Verbund, from Austrian Institute of Technology, the High Center in Austria, and the Klima and Energy Fund. We detected that with the train operating in the Alpine area south of Vienna, 60, 70 kilometers south of Vienna, that the train performance was matching whatever we had with in the timetable. So we had no problems replacing this train in a standard circle of a diesel train. Even the performance was better than the diesel train. So we could really operate the train, although it was 45 promille, very, very, let's say, challenging lines the train was operating. We didn't see any lack of performances here. So performance, great. Regarding reliability, we didn't have any problems. So reliability was as well perfect. The range was also meeting our requests. So there was a full circle as we operated the diesel trains. So it was no real change. And interestingly, the train drivers and all the operating staff, they were really inspired by this project and by the train. So there really was coming a perfect and a very positive feedback from everyone. And referring to your question, our customers, they always are, let's say, interested in our products. And in this case, we have received a lot of questions when they maybe, hopefully, whenever we'll see this train again in Austria. So there was a big interest shown by our customers. And they were mainly fascinated by the fact when looking on the exhaust pipe that there was even coming water out of it. So it was not just that the train was silent. It was not. It was a comfortable train for them. So it was from the ecological point of view, also for the customers, visible that this is a transforming project. What can be improved? So what can be the next steps maybe? So what we identified somehow that it is not the train only we need to focus on. So the technology of the train, I think, has been approved a couple of times already, and there have been another innovation cycles within the industry as far as we have been informed. So I think we can be pretty sure that the train will reach whatever is expected from the technological point of view. But what about the economy? We have to understand that, and this is a principle for being as climate protection supporter and company doing a lot of efforts to reach the climate goals, we only can use green hydrogen here. And we have to understand that this means that we have to see a systematic approach here. It's not enough to only focus on the vehicle. We have to understand better about how we can come to how we can improve the availability, accessibility, and even economic feasibility of green hydrogen in order to support production, logistics, fueling, storage. So the whole logistics of hydrogen for the areas where we need hydrogen technology. This is not only a rail industry issue only. So this is more or less something we are facing all over Europe or maybe all over the world. And this is why I think it would be helpful to see further support and funding initiatives coming to build up an infrastructure and logistics chain for green hydrogen. But on the other hand, and I'm very frank saying this, we need to be aware of the fact that hydrogen is a great technology and should be used in the areas, in the fields where we really need it. But it should maybe, from our perspective, not be the only solution to decarbonize the world, as there are other technologies as well. And I'm CTO, so I have to underline that plurality in terms of technology and innovation is something helping all of us. So to conclude, it was a great project, and we had a lot of very good experiences, and we are very much looking forward to identify whether this hydrogen train could be part of the ÖBB family in the future. We have analyses and studies ongoing, and we will see at the end of the year 2021 for which line which solution is the most appropriate one in terms of ecology, but as well economic aspects as well. Thank you, and I'm more than happy to answer your questions at the end of this session.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mark Topal in Vienna. Appreciate you sharing your experiences with us. Of course, appreciate inviting the industry to support you, assist you, animate the industry for new innovations, to support you in your aim to become Austria's largest climate protection company. Thank you very much. Now, the Coradia Lint, eLint, has full homologation in Germany and Austria. The excessive passenger tests have been conducted in these two countries up to now. But what about the rest of Europe? The challenges for transport on non-electrified lines remains the same in all the countries where it comes to the next generation orders for trains of our customers. Now, Gian Luca, please give us a picture of the hydrogen challenges and status quo in Europe. Please, Gian Luca.
Thank you, Müslüm. Good morning to all. As the previous speaker have underlined, hydrogen is essential to support the EU commitments to reach carbon neutrality by 2050. And the share of the hydrogen energy consumption should move from 2% today, less than 2%, to 13-14% by 2050. It's true that it's a big step that we have to make altogether, but it's also important that this increase of hydrogen energy use will foster the growth of sustainable environment and creates new jobs. I want to repeat again what has been said at the beginning by Henri Poupart-Lafarge, the fact that in Europe we have 46% of the lines that are not electrified, and many of them will never be electrified. So the interest in hydrogen is now almost in all the European countries, and they are including in the investment part of their strategy related to hydrogen. You quoted Germany and Austria, but we have been the pleasure to test our train in the Netherlands, for example, in the province of Groningen last year with successful results. And we know that some tenders are ongoing and starting in this country. But not only, there is a huge interest to invest in hydrogen technology in the Nordics, in Scandinavia, we can quote Denmark and Sweden, and then in the Central East Europe. Countries like Poland, Romania, Bulgaria, and Greece are on the starting block in order to promote this technology. And I want to underline that the recovery fund that will be granted by the European Union will help such kind of development. Then, remaining in our continent, even if it's not anymore European Union, we can talk about UK. UK has a huge decarbonization program to reach full decarbonization in 2040. And also there are many lines not electrified today, managed through diesel trains. And there are two options. One is to buy, of course, new hydrogen trains, and the other one is to convert electrical or diesel train with the new technology. And we have a project that has already been announced called Breeze with the UK government that should become a reality in the next month. Then, last but not least, is Italy. Henri Poupart-Lafarge quoted the contract that we signed with Ferrovie Nord Milano for the region Lombardia. But we know there are interest for many other regions in the country, including also in the recovery funds. We work with all our operators in Italy. And in May 2020, we signed an agreement, a frame agreement with SNAM. Mr. Alvera, the CEO, will take the lead soon after, to cooperate and to promote hydrogen in Italy and hopefully in other countries of Europe very soon. Before moving to Mr. Alvera, I would like to underline our capacity to deliver in short term such kind of trains, both new trains or retrofitted trains, in order to serve as much as possible all the countries and all the regions that needs this technology. We have a power of production and already a very good supply chain that permit us to give the operator a very short time to market and use the financing that they have in their hands in a short time and show that they can realize for our life, for our environment, a better use of the public funds. So for us, it's very important to give this message to the market that we are, of course, the precursor because we invested many years before the competition. And now with pleasure, we see that many of our competitors are investing in R&D projects to develop this technology. That, of course, is good because it means that once we have done this investment, it was a long-term vision. Second, more competitors will also improve the technology and will, of course, reduce also the cost of the components in the market. So all benefits coming from an industrial competition, same, but the possibility to serve all our markets. So thank you, Müslüm. I pass to you the word.
Thank you very much, Gian Luca. Thank you for the very wide and detailed overview about what's happening in Europe. And as Adina Valean emphasized at the beginning of this session, hydrogen has the potential to be the flexible, zero-emission, and also potentially cost-competitive alternative to diesel trains. But from potential to reality, there is a lot to do. The technology is here. The proof of concept is where I am right now today, but the infrastructure rollout cannot be underestimated. Alstom has strong partnerships for the hydrogen supply. In Germany, we partner with Linde. In Netherlands, we partnered with Engie. And here in Salzgitter, let's have a look how the filling works of such a train works. Please. In Italy, our infrastructure partner is SNAM. I'm especially pleased to give the word now to Mr. Marco Alvera, the CEO of SNAM. He updates us on the Alstom partnership and the importance of a broad and elaborated hydrogen infrastructure for the success of decarbonizing rail operation. So please, Mr. Alvaro, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. SNAM is Europe's largest gas infrastructure company. We have about 40,000 kilometers of natural gas pipelines in Italy, connected directly to North Africa, to Libya, Algeria, Tunisia. We have pipelines coming into Italy from Russia. We own the networks in Austria and in the south of France, as well as in Greece, and we have a stake in the interconnector from the UK to Belgium. So our core business has been for 80 years to transport and store natural gas. As we move as quickly as we can to a fully decarbonized Europe by 2050, SNAM has taken a commitment to reach net zero by 2040, and we're helping our clients and our partners like Alstom fulfill their own ambitions to get to net zero as soon as they can. This is why we have launched 4 startups, one in sustainable mobility, the second in hydrogen, the third in biomethane, and the fourth on energy efficiency. The role of infrastructure is critically important, like it has been for natural gas through the 70s and the 90s, the 2 big phases of expansion of natural gas. It has taken us 80 years to get to where we are, but we only have 10 or 15 years to get the hydrogen infrastructure going. The good news is that we can use the same infrastructure we're using today for natural gas for hydrogen. It's the same steel, it's the same quality of steel. We have done extensive testing, both for blending hydrogen and methane, but also for pure hydrogen transport. And we have heard this morning how effective the experiments and the certifications have been on the rail. And of course, rail has a great advantage compared to trucks and to cars, because we have very predictable consumption patterns, very predictable in space and in time. So the rail industry is actually the first where we can work to replace diesel with hydrogen. And when we talk about fuel cells, it is still an electric train. So we should still use the word electrification for fuel cell powered trains. We have this opportunity with hydrogen to finally break this barrier between electrons and molecules, because hydrogen is a molecule, will be transported and stored as such, but has the beauty that it can turn quickly back into an electron. So hydrogen is a vector. Hydrogen will be the way to bring the wind energy from the North Sea and the solar energy from Southern Europe and from North Africa and the Middle East directly into our trains, into our trucks, into our factories. Once we have developed this infrastructure, the marginal cost of solar and wind is almost zero. So the goal is to get hydrogen at a cost below fossil fuels today. We think we can reach parity with diesel within 5 years. We have partnered with a number of companies to do so. The cost of diesel today is around $2 a kilo of hydrogen equivalent. Hydrogen is $6 a kilo right now. We need to collapse and make the cost of electrolyzers fall to get to $2 a kilo, we think, in 5 years. And SNAM is very active in this. We have been purchasing stakes in electrolyzer companies, and we're working in the Middle East and in North Africa on these projects. But focusing on trains, the potential is very significant around the world. 90% of trains in the USA are still running on diesel. Almost 100% of trains in India are running on diesel. And hydrogen is a way to leapfrog what was done with the extensive electrification. Hydrogen today is the only way to deliver 100% renewable transport on trains, because no electric grid, with the exception of some Nordics, is 100% green yet. And it will not be 100% green for a while to come. Focusing on Italy, we have about 40% of our lines which are very hard to electrify for environmental reasons, for infrastructure reasons, because there's a lot of old galleries and tunnels and hills, and also for economic reasons. And there's no need to build electric wires where you can do with a fuel cell. We have a great project underway, as Gian Luca described, in Val Camonica. The beauty of using rail for hydrogen development is also because as we hydrogenize and electrify through hydrogen a tract of the rail line, exactly like was the case in the 30s when the first rails were developed across Europe and America, along with the rail development, economic development comes. And so the real opportunity is not only to power the trains with fuel cells and hydrogen, but around the train stations to develop hydrogen valleys and hydrogen economies, as everyone in the industry, in this industrial space, is very keen to get this new technology to decarbonize. So there's side effects as well. So our partnership with Alstom is very powerful. This Val Camonica project is just the beginning. Hopefully we will move all the diesel trains to hydrogen in due course in Italy, in Europe, but also elsewhere in the world, as this is really one of the areas where what Bill Gates calls a green premium is very, very small, and it will reach 0 in 3 to 4 years, as the need for infrastructure is not so significant when it comes to trains. Thank you very much. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Marco, Alvera. Thank you for this view from outside the train. We have been talking about the train, and as Mark Topal said, of course, we have to look around the train as well. And thank you very much for this very interesting speech, the introduction of the environment around the train. And of course, we are looking forward to develop opportunities with you, secure opportunities with you, and implement them successfully. So now, ladies and gentlemen, this was an insightful hydrogen run here from Salzgitter through Brussels, Paris, Vienna, Rome, from vision, ambition, customer experience to infrastructure. Now back in Salzgitter. By the way, this was a tour of about 4,500 kilometers, for which the iLint would have needed 4 refills. And now we're back in this wonderful train, and I guess that you have some questions to the very interesting speeches of Ms. Schwabl, of Mr. Topal, of Mr. Alvera, and we want to give you the floor now to answer your questions. Please type them into the small window below the picture. I will be reading the questions. Type them in English, please, and then I will direct them to the respective speaker, and we'll see that we can answer your questions. Now, let us start with the first question. How do you rank in terms of 1, hydrogen technology, 2, current hydrogen orders, and 3, running hydrogen trains versus your key global peers, such as Siemens, Hitachi, Stadler, CRRC? Thanks. I guess I would direct the question to you, Gian Luca. In your speech, you had given a very brief, overview about Europe, the market in Europe, the competition in Europe. Please, Gian Luca.
Yes, competition is moving ahead because they have seen that Alstom strategy and investment are paying off, because, as you know, when introducing new technology, there is always a risk of adapting your technology with the needs of the operator and the perceptions that the passenger may have. So it is very much important what Mrs. Schwabl said, that there was an education of the passenger during before starting the rides, because there is not only the technology, but is also to explain that it is a safe technology, and then there are no risk for the passenger and generic for the operation. So we see that our competitors are investing. They have announced R&D projects in Spain, in the United States. We are very respectful of them. And I repeat what I said before. We think that the competition, when it is the same competition, will give benefits to the whole industry and to all the operators, because more investment will mean also improvement of the actual components. I mean fuel cell, I mean battery charger, I mean hydrogen tanks, and it's valid also for the infrastructure. As Mr. Alvera said, it's also important that our partners as hydrogen providers are capable to set up fueling of hydrogen in a very economic and fast way. So I think that we are, I would say, happy to see that this technology is ongoing. And we, of course, we look to the development, we look to the competition, we respect the competition, but we think that we still have, and we will continue to invest, a gap in terms of responsibility to put in service such trains and to be as much as possible advanced in this world. So only positive news that I see for the future.
Thank you very much, Gian Luca. Now, we have another question, a question directly to Mr. Mark Topal at ÖBB. How does a hydrogen train compare to a battery power train, economics, performance, etc., for the sections where full electrification is not feasible? Please, Mr. Mark Topal.
Well, that's exactly what I was referring to, what we are currently investigating and evaluating and calculating. So as for now, we have different pilot projects. We have a pilot project with a battery train. We have a pilot project and experience with a hydrogen train. And we have for sure our experiences when it comes to electrification. It's quite obvious that we need to calculate and we need to find which is the most feasible way to proceed. What is somehow clear at the moment already, when it comes to longer distances when it comes to areas where we need more power, the hydrogen train has clear an advantage here. On the other hand, when it comes to very short distances, it seems that battery trains have an advantage. But I don't want to say something too early. We have our situation here in Austria with our network, where we have different lines, different situations, a different challenge in all the different regions. And we need to sort this out. And I think the result will be that there will be a part where we still go for another electrification of the line. Then there will be a part where we see battery trains will be a great solution. And then there will be parts where fuel cell trains, even more than passenger, when it comes to shunting, for example, where fuel cell trains will be the most appropriate solution. Still, we need to answer the question about the life cycle of green hydrogen, and this is something we cannot sort out as ÖBB or as Austria alone. So this is, I think, an European, at least an European issue, and this is why I'm very much looking forward to see further innovation and further concepts to be developed in terms of the life cycle of green hydrogen.
Thank you very much.
No, non so niente.
Non sai niente.
Thank you very much to Vienna. Now another question, and Henri, I want to direct that to you. Is Alstom also planning to develop a Coradia polyvalent or similar electro-hydrogen dual-mode multiple unit for the German market?
So thank you, Müslüm, for the question. As you know, we have been ordered some 12 trains in France, and indeed we are going to develop this Coradia polyvalent multiple units and also both hydrogen and electrical trains for France. And we intend to develop hydrogen versions of all our trains, actually, including up to locomotives, by the way. So yes, we will develop multiple units for Germany. It may not be only on it may not be on the platform of Coradia Polyvalent. It may well be on the new platform of Smart Coradia. We are looking at that, but we will develop definitively larger scale trains for Germany.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Henri. Another question, which Ms. Schwabl, I would like to direct to you. Where will the iLint be used, in which countries, and where in Germany? And I would appreciate a brief feedback about Germany.
Well, the train will be used in Lower Saxony starting from 2022 on the route I just outlined to you in the network of the rivers Weser and Elbe from Cuxhaven, Bremer via Bremervörde to Buxtehude, and in 2023 on routes of the federal country of Hesse, fuel cell trains will operate. Those are the points of deployments for the first time in Germany.
Gian Luca, there is another question which I think you will be able to answer, which is how can the German experience be replied in other countries?
First of all, we have used the German experience in the Netherlands because we tested the iLint successfully in the province of Groningen, and many tests are already scheduled with the same trains in different countries. So you will be informed by the media of these tests that are going to happen between the month of May and the end of the year in different European countries with the same team that has successfully put in service the train in Germany and done the test repeat in Netherlands and in Austria. So the same team that has already experienced is capable to interact with the operators, with the infrastructure, in order to have a fast test and promote this technology, satisfying also the needs and the request of the curiosity of the passengers that want to see innovation. It was very much important what was said before by Mrs. Schwabl, that the innovation is, and also by the CTO of ÖBB, that innovation is very much appreciated by the passenger. So we will use the same trains, the same prototype and pre-series trains that are running very well, that started in Bremen-Vorden. Now we are moving them all across Europe.
Gian Luca, there is another question which just, is you may have answered it with your previous answer. Do you see a future of this kind of technology in a country like Norway?
We see this technology, I would say, almost everywhere there are not electrified lines, including Norway. The question is, each train has to be reconfigured following the climatic conditions. So this technology can work also in Norway if we winterize trains like iLint or the other products of the family. But we don't see any contradiction to work in Norway, even if in Norway we know that they're not yet decided which kind of investment they are going to do, if it is battery plus hydrogen, only hydrogen. What is important that in the Alstom range of products, we have all the kind of traction that are requested by our operators. So if it is hydrogen, it will be hydrogen. If it is battery, it will be battery.
Thank you very much, Gian Luca. Henri, another question which I would assume you would be able to answer best. Which countries are the most potential markets for Alstom hydrogen trains?
Well, actually, Muslim, that's a complex question. I think definitively, if you look at the long-term market, any country which has a large diesel fleet is a very large market for Alstom. So we can think here, of course, about Germany, about France, Italy, the UK, where we have very large diesel fleets. Now, the time of the expansion of the market and the growth of the market will depend on the global supply of hydrogen, as it had been outlined. The train technology is fully available. Now, the ecosystem is everywhere to allow for this market to bloom. But I think that Europe is going definitively to be the main market, and these large countries with a large non-electrified network are the main targets. Now, we need to enlarge as well our horizons, and of course, I would dream to be able to promote even in the US, in Americas, a non-diesel fleet, including for locomotive, which would be, of course, a very, very large market. We need to find solution as an industry to this diesel locomotive fleet, which is very, very large in Europe, but as well in the US as well.
Thank you very much, Henri. We have another question, and Mr. Mark Topal, you had explained it in your speech. That's why I would like to direct this question to you. The energy need for Coradia eLint is still relatively moderate compared to other diesel-operated rolling stock, such as locomotives. What are the next steps for transition of emission-free mobility for locomotives and long-distance operations? What about this infrastructure needs?
Yeah, as already mentioned, so in terms of infrastructure needs in the wider context, so about the hydrogen ecosystem, we really need to develop something here jointly together. I think it should not be done from the rail sector only, and it needs to follow some kind of European policy. So unless we don't want to have at the end specific, let's say, co-funded or funded projects which show this great technology, how this can work. But it will never be, let's say, a large-scale rollout unless we don't want to end up with specific singular projects. We need to ensure that we will see this hydrogen ecosystem happening soon, and maybe including to giving some guidelines or some principles in which areas hydrogen or fuel cell technology should be mainly used, and in which areas maybe not that much. So this could be something which could be solved within, let's say, European policy. So we are very much looking forward to seeing this happen, and to seeing that this will happen very soon. I once again underline innovation is needed in this field, and funding is needed in this field as well. And we need to sit together, and we need to define the areas where we see the fuel cell technology as being the most appropriate, and let's say when it comes to feasibility, the best solution to happen and to help to decarbonize mobility. So this needs to happen.
Thank you very much. Highly appreciated. Now, I have another question, and Mr. Marco Alvera, I would assume that you should be able to give an interesting and good answer in the inside. How much time does it take for a train to recharge the hydrogen fuel cell, and how does this impact the capacity of the infrastructure?
So one of the advantages of hydrogen is that it doesn't take a lot more than diesel. You don't need to actually charge the fuel cell. You transfer the hydrogen from a tank that's at the station side to another tank that's on the train. So it's a seamless operation, as we've seen in the video, and it takes it's a matter of minutes, depending on the train side and the type of the infrastructure that you have invested in. But it's compared to batteries, that is clearly the main advantage. And then some future evolution may be to have both batteries and fuel cells and have these hybrid models, I think, that we are studying in cars and trucks will eventually may be developed in trains as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you to Rome. And now we're coming to the end of the session. So we have one question which, Ms. Schwabl, I think you can answer best. When this technology will be implemented in a commercial operation?
We will start with the first trains that you can see in the background in March 2022, and as of June 2022, all 14 trains that we bought from Alstom will be operating, so that everybody could just have a ride, and we are looking forward to having you.
Now, we have reached the end of the session today, and thank you very much for all your questions, and of course for all the very interesting topics. To the speakers, appreciate your time, your availability, your insights. I think one point came over very clearly. Hydrogen is the energy source of the future, and today it is already reality on rail, and Alstom is proving this fact. Thank you very much, and have a nice day. Thank you, Ms. Carmen Schwabl. Thank you for being here with me and not leaving me alone in the train. Thank you.
Dankeschön. Ich bin gern gekommen.